Hello and welcome. Today, we have a couple of interesting stories, including one about original poster whose girlfriend tried to stab his mother after his mom accused her of being a psychopath. Relax, sit back and enjoy. First story. My wife lied and told her kids that their father was dead. I exposed her lie and took them to see him. My wife got full custody of her kids, girl, 4 years old, boy 6, girl 9, after their dad got sick. She rarely let them see him or let the grandparents see them. It was like this for whole 8 months. Then their dad's health got worse and she just stopped taking them to see him. She claimed she was protecting them from being traumatized, but in my opinion, this is the time where they should have seen him the most. The latest stunt was finding out that she actually lied to them about him being dead. I was shocked and felt quite sick seeing the kids cry for days and looking depressed. I called her out on it and she said it was the only way to get them to stop asking about him and not pressure her into taking them to see him in that state. I had the biggest fight with her over this. Then I took the 3 of them and went to the hospital and called their aunt to take them to see their dad. All without my wife knowing. The kids reacted intensely, especially the oldest, and refused to see her after the lies she told. She had a psychotic breakdown and started yelling at me saying she has been trying so hard to navigate this awful situation and I turned her own kids against her and demonized her WHRN. She only had their best interest at heart. She has moved out and is considering separation, either temporary or permanent. I'm getting lots of blame for what I did, especially from her family. The kids' father's family are, however, appreciative of what I'd done but said there will be a lawyer involved, so the issue got 10x worse. I don't know if I did the right thing, but I feel like I messed up my life and my marriage. There's no coming back from this, especially knowing the court will get involved. The top replies. For those kids, I think you did the right thing. The fact that she lied to them that he was dead? That's just unacceptable. If he recovers, you don't mention whether his condition is terminal or otherwise. Was your wife never going to explain that? Or if recovery is not possible, never going to give them and him a chance to say goodbye? What she did was based on her having her own best interests at heart, not theirs. Their best interests would be served by letting them see their father and look into therapeutic support to help them navigate these emotions, whereas she didn't want to deal with the situation and told a lie that made her life easier. And that lie will now cause more trauma, I'm sure. You are not to blame. And with your marriage over, would you want to stay married? Knowing that she can lie about something this serious to her children? What might she lie to you about if this is how she deals with things? She should be the one dealing with court consequences, not you. But thank you for helping those children and their father to meet. Second reply. Thank you. Everyone jumped to this guy being at death's door, and that seeing him would be awful. We don't know if he's that bad. People waiting for organs, or with autoimmune diseases or cancer get sicker and then can recover. He could just be hospitalized because of chemotherapy side effects. My dad was. The chemo was sending him into a fib. For all we know, this was the way the ex was going to keep them from seeing their dad and his family permanently. We don't know what she would lie about to her ex. She could be telling him the kids don't want to see him, etc. It's hard to know because the woman is willing to tell such an insane huge lie to make her life easier. The second story. My girlfriend tried to stab my mom today. I accidentally let it slip to my GF of 2 years yesterday that my mom complains about how she always contradicts herself and that she thinks my GF is a psychopath. When I told her that, all she said was, "Oh." Last night before we went to sleep she started asking me more about what my mom has said about her, so I told her everything. Well, that backfired. She started bawling her eyes out and I couldn't get her to calm down. I comforted her and reassured her that no matter what I would be with her regardless of what my mom thinks of her. She explained to me how she's always nice to my mom and she never does anything wrong, so she doesn't know why my mom would say such things. I don't know either, but deep down I agreed with my mom. Regardless of what my mom thinks, I still love this girl to death and she's the best girlfriend I've ever had. Well, at least I thought so. I came home from work and my GF wasn't at our apartment. She's usually home the same time as me because we work the same hours. I called her phone multiple times and texted her asking where she was. No answer. For some reason the thought popped into my head that I should call my mom. No answer. My mom always answers. At this point, I knew something was off. I decided to drive to my mom's house. She only lives 20 minutes away from our apartment. I pull into my mom's driveway and my girlfriend's car is parked outside my mom's house. Crap. I run inside to see my girlfriend with a knife pointed at my mother with tears running down from her eyes. She was crying, screaming that she's never done anything wrong and that my mom is ruining her life. I sneak up behind her and quickly grab the knife out of her hand. At this point I don't know what the F to do. What the F is this crap? There's no way this is how she reacted to effing words. I called the cops and told them everything. 30 minutes later my GF was in handcuffs in the back of a squad car. I'm still shaking from all of this. My mom seems to have no reaction to the situation. She's literally emotionless and hasn't mentioned anything about what happened. It's been 2 hours. I'm at her house right now and she's just staring at the TV. The top replies. 1. Your ex-girlfriend. She's your ex now. 2. Get a restraining order against her and enforce it. 3. Follow through with pressing charges in court. 4. Get counseling. You and your mom both need it. 5. Move. 6. Block her on everything except one thing. Do not engage, just use that as more evidence for the police. 7. Take self-defense classes. I highly recommend Krav Maga or Jiu-Jitsu. These steps will mitigate her likelihood of escalating and your likelihood of being her victim. The second reply. Your mom is definitely in shook. Make her a cup of tea and give her a blanket and ask if you can hold her. It might take her days for her mind to swallow this, so I would suggest therapy as well. Our minds are really fragile, so don't take any risks. For the girlfriend, I hope that you'll break up with her and get a restraining order and don't think for a second that you're overreacting, because you're not. Lastly, I hope you're well and that you'll take care of yourself. This must be really hard on you. Sending all love to your family. Please be safe. Update. A lot of the comments on here are targeting me, asking how I could let something like that slip out. It happens. We were having a conversation in the car about our families and I inadvertently told her what my mom said without thinking. If you were in my position, you'd feel the same effing way. I do regret telling her, but I'm human. I made a horrible mistake, but don't chastise me. The third story. Am I the idiot for telling my neighbor to F off after she demanded I clean her house? English is my second language, so I apologize in advance for any mistake. I am a Latina woman married to an American man. We live in a small community in Florida where most people are nice and kind to me. For context, I love cleaning. I like trying new products just for fun. A couple of times I've offered to clean other people's houses, free of charge, just to help them. Among of them, a widow who recently lost her husband of 50 years. A neighbor who had a baby and has a 3-year-old daughter. Another neighbor who had a car accident. I go to their houses and I clean for them once or twice a week. A few days ago I was sitting on my couch when I heard someone knocking on my door. It was odd because we have a doorbell. I opened the door and this lady, around 40 years old, whom I've seen just a couple of times, said, "It took you a while to open the door." I looked at her like I didn't understand what she just said and I only mumbled, "Huh?" She then asked me in the most entitled tone, "I want to know, when are you going to clean my house for free?" At this point I was trying not laugh and I just asked her, "Why would I do that?" She then proceeded to mention all the houses in the neighborhood I've cleaned and she wanted to know why I haven't been to her house yet. She then yelled at me. Yes, yelled loud enough to make my next door neighbor to come outside to see what was going on. She was yelling at me because I wasn't replying to her. I was still trying to process how on earth this woman thought she had the right to come to my house and demand that I clean her house, for free. I just said, "I am never going to clean your house. I am not the neighborhood's maid, I've only helped a few people." She then demanded that I help her. At this point I had enough, so I just said, F*** off, and I closed the door. Later that day when my husband got home, she ran to him and told him I am rude person and how I yelled at her. When I explained him what happened, he told me I shouldn't have talked to her like that and next time I should be nicer. Am I the idiot? The top replies, "Not the idiot. Maybe you should tell your husband to F off too, and while you're at it stop cleaning houses for free. You are not the help. If you keep doing that, that's all they will view you as." In the summer, my dad helps all our neighbors with their air conditioning. Last summer ours leaked, which he fixed, but it caused a huge portion of our drywall to fall down and caused a huge hole in the ceiling. One of the neighbors we frequently help immediately offered to fix it for us, and we paid them for the supplies needed because they wouldn't let us pay for any more. Another neighbor of ours broke his leg when I was little, so me and my dad shoveled his whole driveway for him that entire winter. He constantly talks to my parents and has even helped us with whatever we are doing when he walks his dogs past our house, and has even gotten mail for us when we go on vacation with my grandparents. My grandparents live right next door to us and usually get it when we are gone, but like I said, when they go with us we need someone to get both houses worth of mail. It is so much easier when people are kind and help each other out in need. The second reply. Original poster is free to clean / help whoever she wants. How she spends her free time, and who she willingly helps out is no one's business other than original posters. Telling her to stop helping others because of this is absolutely ridiculous. Lol. It's completely normal to be well acquainted with some neighbors, while having no relation to other neighbors at the same time. Original poster is a grown woman volunteering her time to help her neighbors. This is not unpaid labor. She is not being taken advantage of, considering she is the one offering to help. Don't let the unjustified actions of one entitled person ruin / take away all the good that original poster is doing. The lady that showed up on her doorstep is someone original poster did not know, and she had the audacity to expect original poster to clean her house for free just because original poster does it for others. That is called entitlement, and is a completely unrealistic and irrational expectation. And when people start yelling and demanding these entitled and unrealistic expectations, you know what we do. Tell them to fork off and shut the door, and then carry on with our normal day. Not the idiot. Fourth story. Am I the idiot for telling my girlfriend she's not allowed to tell my daughter what to do? I've been with my girlfriend for 3 years, but she only moved in with me 6 months ago. I'm a widower, so I wanted to make sure that our relationship was serious before I was okay with her moving in with me and my daughter. Generally, they get along pretty well. I told my girlfriend at the very beginning of our relationship that I wasn't looking for a step-mom for my daughter. She's old enough that she doesn't need a new mom. Last weekend I went camping with one of my mates for 2 days, and my girlfriend stayed home with my daughter. I knew my daughter was going to a party on Saturday and I already agreed to it. But when I came back from my camping trip, my daughter complained that my girlfriend told her she had to wash her makeup off and do one that's less provocative before she could leave the house. I got angry at my GF and told her she wasn't allowed to order my daughter around, and she wasn't allowed to prevent her from doing anything that I already agreed to. We had a huge fight, and since then we barely talked. Am I the idiot in this situation? The top replies. I love this example of how sometimes a parent is wrong no matter what they do. I once had a chat with some friends, and some of us were saying how we were forced to have music lessons when we were children and how mad we were at our parents for forcing music lessons on us and not letting us quit, while other friends in the group were mad because their parents didn't force them to continue. As a parent, I decided I would just do my best and not worry too much about whether down the road my kid would criticize me for it. I've learned that most of us will be criticized no matter what, and one of my great epiphanies in life was realizing that I'd rather be criticized for doing what I thought was right than bending to pressure against my better judgment, and end up being criticized for doing what I thought was wrong. With right and wrong being shades of gray, of course. The second reply. Okay, so you would have left her home alone for 2 days? Is your GF aware of that? I have a 17 years old, so I understand, and I don't think how your GF handled things was right. I also think that it warrants a longer conversation with your GF. BC, I am assuming that you do have house rules for your daughter, and by the fact you believe her mature enough to not need a babysitter, that she's also responsible teen. Have you talked to your GF about how you want her to handle things if your daughter breaks a house rule when you aren't home? What about if your daughter wanted to go somewhere that you hadn't pre-approved before you left on your trip? Teens experiment and test boundaries. What if there had been drugs or alcohol at the party and your daughter decided to try some? What is GF supposed to do? While your daughter doesn't need a babysitter or a stepmom, your GF was still the only adult home that weekend, so if something happens, she's the responsible party until you can get back. Were you reachable by phone should an issue or emergency come up? I agree. GF completely overstepped on the makeup and outfit. If your daughter was breaking a rule you might have had about those things, GF should have contacted you to let you know and ask how to handle it. Again, communication is key. But if you're going to leave the two of them alone for days at a time, you need to give them better guidelines than don't parent BCSH** T happens or comes up and you aren't there. Edit. My daughter is 16. She doesn't need a babysitter and my girlfriend isn't my daughter's stepmom or guardian. She's my girlfriend, that's